I recorded my answers to the question that I posed to you yesterday. I recorded that yesterday before I got your responses and some of the video responses. So I'm going to show you what I recorded in a second. But first, let me preface that by saying thank you. Thank you very, very much for all the time and the thought that you put into the comments and the video responses. The comments that really made me think the most and made me feel better were the ones that suggested that I focus on the friends and connections that I've made with Japanese people, the ones that break the mold, with people who I feel actually really do see me as a person. And just kind of to enjoy that and to be comfortable with that and to not be bothered by the people who don't know me and don't really matter. The questions and comments that I kind of felt like you were missing the point, the ones that jumped immediately to why do you want to be Japanese, don't try to be Japanese, you'll never be Japanese. The Japan Channel D com hit it on the head. The problem is not that I want to be Japanese. I don't want to be anything that I'm not. No, actually I do. I do want to be stuff that I'm not. But that's stuff like rich or smart. I don't want to be Japanese. The problem is not that I want them to see me as Japanese. It's that I don't want them to see me as a foreigner. Which, it's not really fair. I am a foreigner. But I don't want that to be all that they see me as. And that's how I feel sometimes. When I say I want to be treated like a Japanese citizen, which again, I never really said that. Those aren't my words. That was the wording of the comment. What I mean to say is I want to be treated like everybody else. It's just that over here, everybody else happens to be Japanese. I want the Japanese people to stop perceiving foreigners as something so extremely different to them. I want that Japanese-foreign dichotomy to stop mattering so much. Yeah, when I look at somebody who is a different race or a different ethnicity, you can usually tell visually. But because I grew up in a diverse society, I don't think I have a reason to assume that they don't necessarily share parts of my culture or my language or my nationality. At the least, I'd have the sense that even if someone was different, we'd have the ability to access each other's respective cultures. And in Japan, some Japanese people literally are surprised that I can eat, drink, and speak in the same way that they can. But in my country, we have a history we're built on the exposure, the clash, the conflict, the compromise, and the cohabitation of many different kinds of people. And Japan doesn't have that. I don't expect anything to change. I'm not giving up on Japan or hating on it. As for the person who said, you're like a kid at a new school who hasn't made any new friends yet, it's not summer camp. I mean, I've got friends that I've known for over 3 years who still talk about how amazing it is that I can use the phone. I have people that I've worked with for over 2 years that they still clap when I count in Japanese. And if you've never been here, you might think that I'm exaggerating. And if you have been here, you know that I'm not. So, from the comments, especially the comments from the lifers, you should be able to tell that this is something that you have to deal with here. It seems like most people, they find a way to deal with it that works for them. Most of the time, I deal with it. Sometimes I feel like it stacks up on me. I'm not saying whether or not the great things about life in Japan outweigh the shit things about life in Japan. That's something that you should decide. But you wanted to see what life is like over here, and sometimes it's like this for me. I'll show you the responses that I recorded yesterday. And also I wanted to say that the winner for best comment, absolute hands down best comment on the video that I posted yesterday goes to Hiroko at Hiroko Channel, who writes, "Shit, I know that kappa." It's a good kappa. And she made a great response video too, so thank you. Here's my answers.
Hey guys, it's Bobby Judo. I asked you yesterday to help me reply to this comment. I'll start with my first reaction to it. Start living in Japan in a real way. What constitutes living in a real way? I guess I understand the idea that foreigners that are here as either foreign exchange students or in English teaching programs tend to be kind of insulated. You spend a lot of time with other foreigners or with Japanese people who are kind of used to handling foreigners. And I guess that might affect the side of Japan that you get to see. But I don't think that that's true of the experience that most of us have over here. Also, I don't think that I've mastered the culture or the language by any means, but at the same time, I basically live my life in Japanese. I have part-time jobs that aren't related to English in any way. I do my taxes, I pay my bills, I watch crappy TV in Japanese. I do the same things that regular Japanese people do for the most part. And yet, most of the time for better, and sometimes for worse, I get treated differently. Why? Is that because I don't speak like a native speaker, or because I make faux pauses? Or is it because of the way I look? It's not my intention to cry racism or discrimination or, pretend that I don't enjoy the positive aspects of being a foreigner in Japan, because I do. But in terms of culture, I don't know if I'll ever be able to master Japanese culture, because I'd have to unculture myself as an American, and I don't think that's something you can actually do. For example, I can understand that in Japan, being indirect or hiding your true feelings is a way to show respect for the other person. I can even practice it, but I'll always feel a sting when I realize that the person I'm talking to is not just going to come out and be honest with me. As for language, I haven't mastered the language. I won't master the language. It'd be way too much of a stretch to say that. But I actually think that the better you get at Japanese, the more native your Japanese sounds, the more attention you draw to the disparity between your Japanese ability and the fact that you are not Japanese. I can't count the number of times that I've been laughed at for saying something where my pronunciation was Nihonjin poi, which means it sounded Japanese. People who laugh at me for that, I know you're trying to be friendly, I know you're surprised or pleased, but it always feels like you're making fun of me. I don't know why it should be weird or remarkable that I speak Japanese the way that people speak Japanese. As for the whole idea of a disparity between not being a native of a country and speaking that country's language, that shouldn't be there. People move. People learn languages. It's not a big deal. If I found out that an English speaker, especially a very good English speaker, learned it as an adult, I'd be impressed. But I wouldn't think that it was like a crazy accomplishment worthy of bringing up every time I talk to that person. But that's what happens in Japan. So my answer to the question overall, do you think that there comes a point where Japan will treat a foreigner like they would treat any other Japanese person? In short, no. And I want to draw a distinction here between Japan as a nation of people and Japan as an ideology. You can't generalize any group of people. I don't feel good about generalizing Japanese people when I make videos like this, which is one of the reasons I don't make videos like this usually. But as far as individual Japanese people go, I mean, every Japanese person is just that, an individual. They make their own decisions, they have their own opinions, they have their own outlook of life, they have their own style of thinking. But if you want to talk about a general Japanese way of thinking, any summary of Japan that you read, even the ones in your travel books, will tell you that Japan is a society that puts a lot of importance on in-groups and out-groups. And the biggest in-group of all is Japan itself, which puts us, foreigners, in the out-group. And that can feel a little bit lonely. I think no matter how long I've been here, people will still express surprise or draw attention to the fact that I can do things that the average Japanese person can do. And what that tells me when that happens is that even though they might accept me, even though they might really like me, they still see me as a foreigner first and as a fellow human being second. So I'm interested to see some of the responses to this. I imagine I might draw some criticism, but it's just my opinion, so take it as that, and let me know what you think. Alright? Talk to you later.